Anita, thank you for creating time.
Of course, I'm very honored that you invited me, and I'm happy to be here.
Great. Who is Anita? Where are you calling us from today?
Calling from Geneva, Switzerland. That's where I currently live and work. And yeah, that's me. I am a 26-year-old health data scientist at the intersection of health, international health, and data science. That's where my domain is.
Okay, actually, that is perfect place to start. I know you have an amazing journey from Kenya through Oxford, maybe other institutions that I don't know, and you work in Geneva now. Inspirational journey, and the reason why I called you here so that you inspire us. I found your intersection very interesting. Intersection of data science and global health, epidemiology. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly.
You're doing well.
Yes, tell us more about that and what inspired your interest in those fields.
Yeah, okay, so I would say I was the cliche child who, growing up, I always wanted to be a doctor. Up until I think towards the end of high school, I realized that it was just someone else's dream that I was repeating, the people around me. And it's because I always needed an answer for what do you want to be when you grow up, but not because I had that calling or I was passionate about being a doctor, specifically like a frontline health worker. But broadly, I was always like passionate about improving health, especially from preventable causes like infectious diseases. And so after high school and all through, I was always good at math. So I liked playing with numbers, and I find numbers fun. So after high school, when I was trying to see what I want to do in university, I started looking at, like, I literally was Googling what programs have numbers, like have things to do with numbers, but are related to health sciences. And that's when my dad found this course called epidemiology, which in the very definition is the study of disease patterns to prevent and control them. So when you combine epidemiology and biostatistics, is you apply statistics in the study of disease patterns in order to prevent and control them. So I literally found a thing that had numbers, which is what I wanted, and sits in health sciences and seeks to help prevent and control diseases. So that's how I studied epidemiology and biostatistics in my undergrad. And at the time, the only university that was offering it was MASINDE MULIRO University of Science and Technology in Kenya. That is within the country. And I remember everyone was like, "Are you sure you want to go to MASINDE MULIRO? Are you sure?" Like, because there was no one I knew who had been to that university, and then it was very far from home. And the course itself was new in the country. So people were very skeptical. But just from the definition of it and the prospects I felt I could do with it, I was determined, and I said, yeah, I want to do it. So that's what I did in undergrad. And then I realized that I really enjoy dealing with health data, so the numbers behind health information, and making sense of them. Like when you see reports on malaria, okay, malaria is prevalent in this country, and this number of people, 500 in 100,000, get malaria every month. What exactly does that mean? How is that derived? And how does that inform health decisions? So that is how my interests come together. So it's taking the numbers, making sense of them, and helping decision makers make evidence-based decisions to prevent and control diseases. So that's how my interests merge.
No, yeah. I love it, and I also love the intentionality. I think maybe you would be one of the few people that I know that they kind of knew what they really wanted to do. Because I think sometimes when you're young, like at 17, like do you really know what you want to do, or like or you maybe following your parents' dreams or whatever. But I'm happy at least you had an idea of what you thought you would enjoy, like including numbers and public health. So tell us about I'm curious, number one, about how then you moved from MASINDE MULIRO, because I know, I'm not sure if are you still at Oxford?
No, I graduated from Oxford I finished last year, I graduated early this year, then I moved to Geneva. So no, I'm not in Oxford.
Perfect. So I know, University of Oxford is one of the best universities in the world, and part of the reason why I like interviewing, especially Kenyans, is just so that our students at home can believe that if you wanna pursue if you want to pursue postgrad, you should go for these elite institutions. Like you can totally you qualify and you can totally get in. So number one, I would want to follow that journey from Masinde Muliro, how you found yourself at Oxford. I think I saw a video that you were at UON. I'm not sure, at some point. I'm not sure what you did at UON, but you will help us link all that. And then number two, maybe, because now you are in Geneva, what do you do? Like, if you don't mind disclosing who you work for on a daily, on a weekly basis, just so that whoever is studying the similar course can have that, I don't know, picture of what their career would look like. So maybe we can start from there, and then we will move to how you found that academic journey.
Okay, so I'll start with what I currently do.
Yes.
I'm a health data scientist, as I mentioned. I work with the Global Fund to Fight HIV, TB, and Malaria. It's a non-profit, non-governmental funding organization that funds country programs to fight the three diseases, the three deadliest infectious diseases. That's HIV, TB, and malaria. And my work is, so I work with the strategy and policy hub, and my work is just so when the Global Fund receives funds from donor governments and partner organizations, and then they allocate these funds, they distribute these funds based on disease burden distribution, or disease burden and economic capacity. So my work is to gather all this data on disease burden, economic capacity, geopolitical context, past trends, future model projections, just to bring all this together and develop algorithms and models that distribute the funds of the Global Fund to countries based off of all those factors that I've mentioned. So that is what I do, bigger picture. On a day-to-day basis, it involves a lot of numbers, which I enjoy, but a lot of numbers, a lot of programming and coding, as I mentioned, because I have to develop algorithms and models to do the distribution, and a lot of conversations and thinking around strategy and policy, especially international health policy and geopolitical contexts, and how disease programs can be made better, can be improved better, can be made more efficient, and how funds can be used more efficiently to tackle these three diseases. So that's what I currently do.
Okay. So before we shift gears to the education side, do you mind also sharing how, assuming someone is interested in joining Global Fund in Geneva, to join you there, how do things like internships, I don't know if they do internships or like jobs, how is the application process like? And if you could offer, I don't know, tips, insights for anyone who is keen to apply?
Yeah, for sure. So they used to have internships before, but currently they don't offer internships at this moment because of the current changing funding landscape. Currently there are no internships, but previously they used to offer internships and then you can progress into positions. But in terms of getting a job, I would say it's apply. I literally just applied. I did not know anyone who worked with the Global Fund before. I actually came to know, fully knowing how it works and what the Global Fund does. I knew it when I was in Oxford. I didn't know it from before, and knew that I always wanted to work here. And we'll talk about it, but when I was in uni, my biggest vision, what I knew most in health, was the World Health Organization and other UN agencies. And I wasn't really exposed that there are other global health players like the Global Fund. So then I knew it when I was pursuing my course in Oxford, which we'll talk about. And then I was sent the vacancy by a friend towards the end of my master's program. And when I read through the job description, I literally just saw myself in the role, because what it described, what it does, what the role is, what is expected was what I wanted to do first. And I felt like it sat right in my competencies, because it brings in data science and international health literally. And so I applied, but obviously I did not expect to get in because I had been getting my fair share of rejections at that time. And yeah, and then on a random day, after like 3 months after applying, I received an email of a technical interview where I had to write code to sort of replicate an allocation model but in a lower scale, and then also a video interview. And I remember when I was doing the technical interview, it was very challenging, but I enjoyed the challenge. I don't know how to describe it. Like, it's not that it was easy for me to do, but I enjoyed figuring it out. And I was like, if this is what I will do for the job itself, then I really hope I get it. Like, this is a job I'll be happy doing every day. So I did the technical interview, and then I did a video interview where you record a video and you share your experience, your background, and your experience with the technical interview as well. And then a few weeks later, I was now called for another interview, now with a panel, where it was mainly about my background, my experience, my knowledge around global health affairs, and really around my thinking, like strategic thinking, critical thinking. And I was just honest. At that point, I think I had said it, maybe they will not take me because I mean, it's the global fund. So I was just like, I'll just have an honest conversation with these people, then we will see how it goes. And I really enjoyed that interview. I think because I removed all the pressure from myself, I was just like, I'll have an honest conversation. I'll show them how I think and what I think, and we'll see. And that is how I got the job. And like, they took me, at that point I had moved back home to Kenya, and they did all the processes of moving me here, all the immigration issues, and that is how I started my job. So I think what I would say, what I learned from the process first is like, don't self-disqualify, because the job itself, the job description itself really fit me, and I felt really drawn to it. But the name, like the Global Fund, was so intimidating. And at some point, I almost did not apply because I was like, these big institutions, they will never take me. Even after being in Oxford, I still had that bit of imposter syndrome. But yeah, that's what I like. Don't self-disqualify. And this will come again in my Oxford story. But also in interviews, what I would say, my some of my tips in interviews, like job interviews, is usually, it sounds cliche, but don't be afraid to show them how you think, because sometimes we think there's this like answers they expect, like we have this predetermined answers, and there's all this guides on job interviews and frequently asked questions. But I find like sometimes you'll be more memorable to a panel when you show them how you think, because that's who they'll deal with every day, not just the practiced answer. So sometimes I would say my thought, like even when I feel like I express my opinions even about the work, like I don't think this would work the way you're doing it currently, and this is what I would do differently. Like, just be open to that. It's a conversation, and they want to get to know you. Yeah. And then, yeah, honestly, just apply for opportunities if they are there. Have conversations with people. Yeah, show how you think, because people want to hire like how you think, not like practice answers, because there will be situations where things come up and you have to think on the spot, and that is what is required in the job, not just this practiced answers that people give in interviews. Yeah, that was my experience joining the Global Fund.
Yeah, commendable by the Anita. I think, like I mentioned, I've been watching silently, and we were chatting about the mutual friends we have, and your name had come up, and I've been following your story on LinkedIn, and you're doing a lot on mentorship, which we'll talk about. And so I saw that you are now at the Global Fund, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But they are lucky to have you. I think you are definitely qualified. And also, I don't know, do you think they also, because I know you do a lot, like mentorship, you also do content creation. I wonder if some of those things, do you think some of those things also help you, like, I don't know, during the interview and also at the job, some of those extracurricular skills?
Yeah, I think they do. I usually mention my content creation in all interviews. I mean, whether for school, for scholarships, because it is a skill. Like, I don't know why it's not recognized, but it's a thing. Like, it's a commendable skill, first of all, because it shows that you know how to manage your time well, like you manage your daily responsibilities, and you spend your free time doing this thing that has impact aside from the work you do. And then also it's extra skills like video editing, recording up. All this is just skill. Also like social media management, especially in this time and age. is an advantage. So I always mention my mentorship and my content creation in all my interviews. I find a way to bring it in because I don't see it, I see it as an added advantage that I bring and I have. So yeah, definitely. And it sparked a very interesting conversation in one of my scholarship interviews, my YouTube channel. But yeah, I feel like it is something that should be recognized and we should be proud if you're doing it. Because yeah.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I'm forcing this conversation just because literally all my mentees, every student that I know, especially I feel like our 844 system in Kenya kind of cocooned us into, like, if you are an engineer or if you are studying data science, like there are some of these things that if you are seen doing, people are like, you don't look serious. Like if you are in that STEM field, you need to look like an iron lady and serious all the time. But personally, something that people don't know is that I was also in drama club all through school, and it's drama and acting and these other non-serious things is something that I enjoy doing. And anyway, so I've really been encouraging students and young professionals and anyone really to explore, to be curious about whatever it is that you like doing, like to just explore, find a way of exploring that in addition to your school or career, because they do help one way or another. So thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you for sharing. Lastly, now I know I've talked about this is the last thing before we move to the education, because I also find your education journey very interesting and very inspirational, especially your journey to Oxford. At one point you didn't get funding, and how you navigated that, I found that very inspirational, and you will take us there. Lastly, before we go there, tell us about one thing. So this is another thing that I like, because we are talking about education and career. I also like to just challenge my colleagues to mention about one thing that is positive, and maybe one thing, okay, let me not use positive and negative, but like one thing that excites you a lot. And I think I already have an idea based on what you said. One thing that excites you a lot about your job, and then one thing that if they could take it away from your plate, you would be glad.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay, so the one thing, it's like a double-edged sword. Yes, I really enjoy working with numbers, and I love that my job makes numbers impactful. So I like that it's something I enjoy, but the impact is also greater than the job itself. So I like that I have that, and it gives me like that passion to wake up, when the code is just not working and the numbers are just mixing with each other. At least having that bigger picture that this goes to make this kind of decisions, that helps keep me going. But the other thing, on the flip side, what I don't like is numbers are very unpredictable. So I don't think it's something someone can remove from my job, but just the nature of the job. Like, it's a double-edged sword. I enjoy working with numbers because of how different every day looks like. But on the other hand, that's it. Like, no one day is the same. And then numbers are just so unpredictable. And sometimes I have a deliverable and the data is not cooperating with me. And there's only so much you can do. And sometimes when you work with multi-sectoral stakeholders, you find that some of them don't have a really data technical background. And it's not easy to communicate that that's just what the data says. And you cannot massage the data to say what, sometimes we have preconceptions about a concept and then the data proves otherwise. And sometimes you become the not so favorite person in the room when you're the one coming to dispute everyone else's theories. So I feel like that's the part of my job that I'm not too comfortable with, especially when I am I'm communicating, say, a negative result to stakeholders. But at the end of the day, that's what the data says.
Yeah. Okay, you should tell them, don't kill the messenger. You are just a messenger.
Exactly.
Okay, that is interesting, Anita. Now, finally, please take us to Oxford. Was it in your plans to study at Oxford?
Oh my God, no.
Okay, tell us more. How did you find yourself at Oxford?
Okay, so I mentioned that I went to MASINDE Muliro for my undergrad, and so at MASINDE Muliro, I would say, as you mentioned, like our education system back home, it's sort of like there's limiting beliefs. There's a lot of limiting beliefs in the environment, even in our our lecturers, our peers. Like, you find there's a lot of limiting beliefs. People, not everyone dreams big. So I was not always surrounded by big dreamers. And for me, I always felt like I was going to be more than what I currently was. Like, I always had this concept of I was made for more, and which was not always received well, especially among my peers and some of the people in my environment, because it's now like, you think you're better than us. I mean, we are all here. Like, you're here with us, so don't make yourself as if you're better than us. But I always knew like I was meant for more, and I had very supportive parents. And one thing my dad always kept saying was that as soon as you need to go do your master's or something, you need to go abroad. You just need to go abroad, have a different experience. And I think it's because he lived abroad for a while and he had that exposure. So even if I studied all my education, my basic education back home, and then I was in MASINDE MULIRO, I always knew like even from this environment I want to go to more. I don't know how that more looks like, I don't know what it will be, but it is there and I will go for it. And so I think the most challenging bit was just keeping that dream despite not having much support in my environment and having all these limiting beliefs. And so after I finished uni, so in 2020 I was in my last year of uni, and then the COVID-19 lockdown happened, so we went home and we had to finish our studies online. And while I was doing my online classes, I was starting to think about my next steps, and I was looking at programs for school. And then I saw the Rhodes Scholarship advert at that time. I didn't know anything about Oxford. I just saw scholarship. Like, I was just searching scholarship because that's all I wanted to know. I knew I wanted to go abroad and I could not afford to go on myself. So scholarships to study abroad, and then I would put in my course and such. So I saw the Rhodes Scholarship and I started reading, and I realized, okay, it's only offered in Oxford. And I was like, let's even look at this Oxford, what it has to offer. I mean, I know that I would apply, but let's just look. And that's when I started seeing like Kenyan people I can relate to, like Kenyan scholars. So the good thing about the Rhodes Scholarships is a global scholarship. So there are Kenyan people. Then that's when I saw, actually there's Kenyans. And that's when I saw you, by the way, which I know you don't know.
Okay.
I saw you and Alicia and Teach. I think at that time you were either almost done or done. And then I was like, oh yeah, okay, these are Kenyans like me. And they've studied, because most times the people who study abroad are people who've done even their undergrad abroad, so I couldn't fully relate. But I was like, this is someone who did their undergrad in Kenya and then they went to Oxford. I mean, that's doable. So if they can do it, then I can do it. And I was like, okay, maybe Oxford is not so unattainable, since people like me also went there. So that idea was planted then. But at that time, I did not even know that I need to have a passport to apply for grad school. Imagine, that's how uninformed I was. And because there was no one to tell me. So obviously, I did not even make the timelines for 2020, because, I mean, by the time you apply for passport and then all the processing times and then it comes in. So I did not apply, but at that time, that seed was planted, and I knew that, one, I want to do my master's somewhere so I can get a different kind of exposure, and two, even schools like Oxford are attainable for people like me. So at least I had those two things going for me. So, and then now the next year now I had my passport, and in 2021 now, and I had also, I don't know if I'll speak about that, but I had also started a new job, which is another journey in itself, but let me speak on the academic. So in 2021 now, armed with my passport, with all the documents I need. Good thing now I knew all the requirements because I had gone through them, and now I had them, and I applied. I applied for Oxford and Glasgow at that time, and I remember that now the problem was I did not have anyone to tell me that you need to apply for scholarships first. I don't know. It sounds so obvious right now having gone through it, but at the time it was not, and it's not obvious to everyone. So I applied to the schools, I applied to Oxford, I applied to Glasgow in 2021, and then in 2022 when the results came out, I went through the interview process, of course, and then I was admitted to Oxford. And I remember when I saw my admission email, first my eyes teared up because there was no way my name was attached to Oxford and to congratulations. Like, make it make sense. I was just in MASINDE MULIRO the other day. So, and then So I was accepted to Oxford for the International Health and Tropical Medicine Master's course, and then I was accepted to Glasgow as well. So I got both admissions that I had applied for. And then naive Anita, after getting the admission, is when I'm like, oh, okay, so now I've gotten the admission. I cannot afford to go on my own. So now let's find a scholarship for it. And at that point in March, on the year I'm supposed to report, is when I am starting to figure out how do I apply for scholarships and what scholarships are available. And turns out most scholarships, the deadline was the previous year when I was applying to schools. So that is how I was not able to take up any of my admissions that in 2022 now, because I did not have enough information, one, around the timelines, two, around the processes, and then also just that, honestly, it's just information. The information is there, I just did not have it, and I did not have someone to walk me through just to tell me how it is. And that is when I went on YouTube and I realized, like, I was watching, while I was applying to Oxford, I was watching a lot of YouTube videos. I was just searching Oxford Masters, Oxford Grad Student, Oxford Uni. And there were some videos of Oxford students, but of course they were international students, most of them not African. And I realized that most of them never needed scholarships to go to Oxford. So they never mentioned scholarships. They always said, oh, this is the essay that got me into Oxford. This is the CV that got me into Oxford. And I realized that that information was not relatable to me. And even though it was there, it was not the kind of information I needed. And that's what motivated me to start my YouTube channel. For people like me, who needed the quote-unquote obvious information that we think is so obvious once we get to the other side, but it's actually not. Like someone who will tell you this is literally how the timelines for application are, this is what kind of documents you need to have ready at each point in time, this is how you need to organize your application, have an Excel sheet with scholarships and schools and deadlines, and scholarships have such kind of application timeline and schools have, sometimes they overlap, sometimes they don't, tailor-made for people from contexts like mine. And that is how, from my not succeeding to go to Oxford, I started my YouTube channel. And when applications opened again in 2022, I applied now. Like, I had my scholarship documents ready from May. Like, I had my draft essays, everything. And so I applied to so many scholarships because I had done my research for my YouTube. For me to record a YouTube video, I need to do research, and that research would benefit me because I would keep that information in mind. So when applications opened now, I applied, and I applied to so many scholarships, and I applied to 3 schools again. Now this time, Oxford, Cambridge, and London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine, because I was like, okay, Oxford took me, Cambridge, you might also want me, and I was like, now I'm aiming for the best of the best in the field.
Confidence reloaded.
Yeah, exactly. And then now in beginning of 2023, I did the interviews again, and that is how now I got like all 3 admissions for Oxford, Cambridge, and LSHTM. And then I got 3 or 4 scholarships? I got Mastercard AFOX for Oxford, and then Mastercard Cambridge, and then Chevening, and then Weidenfeld Hoffman Trust at Oxford as well. Yeah.
Possible to accept all of them, but congratulations! Like, those are really high, those are super prestigious scholarships. Yeah. Did you talk about it on your channel?
Did I? I don't know if I did a video or not. I know I did LinkedIn, but I'm not sure if I did. I actually don't know if I've done a video on that.
That is impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah.
If I've not done a video, I feel like I need to do a video if I've not done one. Because I think I took a hiatus at some point when I started Oxford and it got very intensive. But I'm not sure at what point the updates stopped. But yeah, so I got the 4 scholarships and I got the 3 admissions, and now I was in a good place. The best kind of problems to have.
I know.
Yeah.
The paradox of choice. So then how did you okay, take us through the decision process with this good problem to have now.
Yeah, so I had sat down with my 4 scholarships and my 3 schools, and the schools are also very great. The courses themselves were great, best of the best in international health. And then the scholarships are also full scholarships, all great. And at some point, it was just, there was no wrong decision. That was what my mentor told me, there's no wrong choice. Whatever you'll go with, there's no wrong choice. But so my decision was informed by, one, the course itself. Like I assessed the 3 courses from the 3 schools. Now it was no longer like schools. It was like the courses themselves, the modules, the projects, the after the course, where do alumni go on to. So that's what I looked at and aligned with my interests. And the one that was most aligned was the Oxford course, International Health and Tropical Medicine. And then now for Oxford International Health and Tropical Medicine, I had 3 scholarships that could take that. So there was Chevening, there was Weidenfeld Hoffman Trust, and then there was Mastercard Foundation, AFOX. And then at some point I even looked at money. So I ranked like the stipend for all 3 scholarships I ranked by that. And then I also ranked by leadership programs, because there's scholarship, but then the scholarships have like a leadership program where you get trained on leadership qualities and other non-curricular skills. So I looked at that. And then I also looked at the community, like the scholar community within the scholarship. So those are some of the factors I considered. And the reason I dropped Chevening first was, Chevening is a UK-wide scholarship. And once I spoke to some scholars and alumni, I realized that they have one set program because it's UK-wide. But I find that schools have different routines. So you might find you miss out on some leadership events from Chevening because your Oxford schedule just doesn't align. But majority of the other scholars, they align. So they go with like the most common routine or like the most common dates that are available for everyone. So I decided I want a Oxford-based scholarship because that would be aligned with my routine as an Oxford student. So now it was down to WHT or Mastercard. And then I spoke to now like scholars and I spoke to staff. And the reason I chose Mastercard, AFOX, and I'm so happy with my choice, is one, the scholar community is very, very warm and it's very Afrocentric, which was well aligned with my values, because at the end of the day, I'm very, very dedicated to improving life on the continent through the work that I do. And I felt like that was aligned with my values. And also the leadership program itself. WHT has a leadership program which is really, really excellent, but it's more, I would say more, I don't know the word for it, but because they have an international cohort, then they align that to fit everyone. But Mastercard Foundation, AFOX, they have an African cohort, like everyone is of African descent. And so even the leadership training program is very Afrocentric. It's aligned with African values and context, because I wanted skills that I can go back home and something I was taught in a leadership program applies to my context immediately. Like, how do I approach political leaders back home? How do I approach? So I felt like that was more relatable and more aligned with my future goals. And so that is how I settled on IHTM, the course, and Mastercard AFOX, the scholarship.
My goodness. For some reason, I do not know from the stories that I know from your journey. I do not know about that, but I find that super impressive. I don't think I know many people who've managed to have all those high-profile scholarships all at once. So it's super impressive. Anita, tell us about. I wanted to know more about like your Oxford experience. When you reflect back, I don't know if there is just one thing, and I think you've already mentioned about the community that you were looking or seeking when you were joining the uni. But if there was just, I don't know, one thing when you reflect, like something so maybe one thing that surprised you that you were not expecting. It could be bad or good, or just one best memory from your time at Oxford or in the UK generally.
Wow, it's so hard to pick one.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and summarize my experience.
Yes.
So I think I always say like no one person goes into Oxford lives the same way, and I found that to be true. Like the Anita who went into Oxford and the Anita who came out were totally different. So first, of course, I don't know if it's of course, but I had a bit of imposter syndrome because of, as I mentioned, like part of my environment back home, there was all these limiting beliefs, and then now suddenly I'm here, okay, this is the #1 university in the world, they take the best of the best, and then I have conversations and I'm like, okay, you are the best from where you came from, definitely you are the best. And at some point I got intimidated a bit, especially with the different settings. Like we had, like, for example, like formal dinners where everyone dresses up, and then you have to maintain small talk in a way that I was not used to, and then to be careful what to say, what not to say. Like, just the cultural and contextual dynamics were so different. But I like the confidence that I got once I got used to it, because it's like, first of all, I was chosen to be here, so that was not a mistake. And then second, it's I'm here as myself. Like, there's you're different, I'm different, but we will find a way to live with each other and meet each other where I have my strengths that I bring here in this Oxford environment. Like, I have something to contribute to this Oxford environment, and that confidence really helped me to even do things outside of my course. Like, I applied for, there's a program called the Oxford SDG Impact Lab, which is very selective. They select like few graduate scholars every year, and I applied for it. And I remember in the interview, I was very convincing, because I knew that I had this value I want to bring into the SDG Impact Lab cohort, and I was able to convince the panel of that, obviously, because I was selected as a scholar, research fellow. But I liked that I got that confidence not just to be in Oxford, but also to get into spaces within Oxford. Because there's getting into Oxford and there's getting into spaces within Oxford, which are also like, they select from the Oxford cohort, and I'm one of them. So I like that it built me in terms of the value I bring into rooms, and I see that even in my work and in all that I do. I go in and I know I have something to bring into this room, which is why I'm here. So that confidence really grew, and I liked that. And then, as I mentioned, like, on the flip side, what I didn't like is just, I would say, teething problems, like that initial hesitation of doubting myself, which I don't understand now why I was doubting myself, but it was there, and I liked that I grew from that. I grew through it. Yeah, but my best memories are like I made very good friends in Oxford, lifelong friends, and I met very smart people. Like, you'd have conversations and you're like, every conversation I leave and I'm like, I have never thought about it like that. Or what? I didn't know that. Like, I liked how the conversations were very smart, but also at the same time realizing that these people are just human beings at the end of the day. Like, we are all normal. Like, there's no people for Oxford and then people not for Oxford. Like, they're all human beings at the end of the day once you relate to them on a personal level. So I liked that it normalized Oxford, it demystified Oxford. That's what, and I usually tell people, like, you can go to Oxford if you want. Like, it's for everyone. So I liked that as well. And yeah, generally I liked that I got to engage in co-curricular activities, even though I was there for the studies. Yeah.
That is a perfect segue to talk about your extracurricular activities. We will not end this episode without you mentioning the name of your YouTube channel, because you definitely are a very interesting speaker and you have interesting stories. I would ask my audience, mostly I think they are students and young professionals, to come check it out and be inspired. So talk about your YouTube channel, the name, give us the name. Talk about MSJ, My Son's Journey. I know you guys are running it and you're doing amazing work, like showcasing. I think, especially in the West, I feel like when they say science in Africa, and people are like, is there even science in Africa? And I like that you guys are doing showcasing and highlighting science that is going on in the continent. So if you could just like briefly skim through those extracurricular, your YouTube channel, MSJ, maybe any other thing that you do as extracurricular, and then we will start winding up.
Okay, so yeah, as I mentioned, I have a YouTube channel. It is the most pretentious YouTube channel because it's self-named Anita Makori on YouTube.
Yes.
So that's
and
where
people should visit. People should visit. Like, what do they say? Like, comment, subscribe, share. Yep, we are learning to be YouTubers.
I've been on a very long hiatus, but I feel like this conversation with you has sparked a part of me that feels like maybe I should get back, because I've been on a long hiatus. But yeah, there's so many resources on just everything grad school. I even talk about expenses applying to grad school, like the fact that you need some money before you even apply and all that. Like, I'm very honest on there. So That's Anita Makori on YouTube. And then I am also part of My Science Journey. My Science Journey is a platform that uses storytelling to first normalize science careers and two, to amplify science voices in Africa. And what we do is we bring in scientists, researchers, science communicators, anyone in the science space, and then we get to unpack their science journeys. So how did they start from where they started from, and then what are they currently working? And we use it in a storytelling way. And what we aim for is first to demystify these figures or these people that we see on journal publications. You just see names, lists of names and affiliated institutions, but who are they at the core, and how can someone walk through that journey like them? So that's My Science Journey. We are on LinkedIn, on YouTube as well. We do bi-weekly webinars on YouTube, so another YouTube channel to check out. And then I also started an Instagram page called Data Analyst KE, where I share more data analytics stuff, because I realized I do a lot of science in general, but at the core of it, as I said, I really enjoy data analytics, and I'm trying to bring in an aspect of data analytics from a Kenyan's perspective, hence the .ke, or from an African perspective. So to show that, one, how someone can get into such a career, two, how you can start from where you are just in training in data analytics without having to go to school for it. If you want to just pivot in your career, or if you want to complement your career with data analytics skills, I share that on Data Analyst KE. So that is what I am currently engaged with aside from my work.
Okay. Oh, amazing. And keep doing that. Again, like I mentioned, I've just been encouraging everyone, like whatever it is that you are curious about, please don't die with those talents. Unleash them, explore and bring those talents to the world. So keep doing that. And in closing, just because of time, so two last things I want you to reflect about. I've found a lot of inspiration and insights from people just reflecting to their careers. So number one thing I want you to reflect to that young Anita. I don't know if you were 19, maybe when you joined Masinde Muliro. If you could, it's not too far. You're still very young, so it wasn't too far ago. But if you were to reflect and talk to that Anita, what is one lesson you've learned that you would tell her if you were to talk to her?
Wow, I've never been asked that question before. But yeah,
I want you to just picture that Anita. I don't know if they were confident. I don't know if they were picturing themselves in Geneva. I don't know where you grew up. So please talk to her. Just imagine her, 19-year-old, preparing to join you.
She was actually 17. She was so young.
17. Wow. Oh wait, yeah. You guys graduated out of high school and didn't wait too long to go to uni.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
17.
Yeah, I think what I would tell her, like what came out of now looking 26-year-old to 17-year-old Anita, one is keep that dream, that big dream that you've always had, regardless of what you will hear. You will have naysayers, you will have people belittling it, you will have people weaponizing it against you, but just keep that dream, because that dream, first, it will come true, and second, it will open doors for you that you would never imagine were possible. Like your life will almost sound like a fairy tale, but it will be true. And then next will be that lack of fear that you have, just keep it. Like the way you have courage to speak to the right people, courage to go up to someone and introduce yourself and have a conversation with them, keep it, because you will need it, and it will come out in interviews and job panels, and it will make people invest a lot of money in you and invest a lot of opportunity in you, because it will show people what you have to offer. So that courage, keep it. Yeah.
Okay. Amazing. No, I agree. I definitely agree, and I was noting a lot, because I think those are some of the things that I think I would tell a young ladies as well. And if you were, how about in terms of career for especially young girls from the continent who look at you? I see you also have a big community on LinkedIn, by the way. Like you have like 40,000. So for those followers of yours, like I suppose maybe some are students and they they really look up to you career-wise,
Yeah.
etc. I wonder if you also
Yeah.
have some career advice. Like if you look back,
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you do, even like, I don't know if intentionally or maybe just in hindsight, like things that have helped you to where you are education and career-wise. So like just career lessons. I don't know if you have maybe 2 or 3. Yes.
Okay, I would say one is dedication and discipline. I know, like, when we were younger, it always sounded so cliche when our elders would tell us, be disciplined, be dedicated, and it's like so exhausting. But I think one thing I've learned is dedication and discipline really sets you apart. Like, and you know, we have this thing, I'm a Gen Z, and there's this notion that Gen Z are lazy, Gen Z are entitled. We have all these negative tags and connotations, but what I would say is discipline and dedication, honestly, sets you apart, and not just in work but also in learning. Like, just that curiosity to learn something new in the workplace, like even if it's not part of what you've been assigned to do, but you feel like maybe this will make the work better or more efficient, and suggesting it and then working and showing that it works this way. People like that. People like seeing that you're passionate and dedicated to your work, but also you're curious enough to see different ways of doing things, and you're able to bring that out. So that's a really good skill that sets you apart. And then 2 is don't be afraid to do things differently. Like, there's traditional quote unquote career paths, but you don't have your journey doesn't have to play out that way. It's okay to do things differently, try out new things, and as long as you dedicate yourself to it, they can work out. And you don't have to do something that has always been done. You can do something different. Because as I mentioned, I pursued a course that was new at the time, and everyone was very skeptical, like, which kind of job will you get? But here I am now, like, I'm the one defining my career, sort of. So I think doing something differently, even if it doesn't exist in the current society that you're in, and pursuing it with passion, that is very, very valuable as well. Yeah.
I'm also making notes here because I like these reflections. I love these reflections. I'm also learning as I write. Anything, I don't know, I'm not sure if we left anything related to your field, related to your story, that you think might help a student somewhere, a young professional somewhere. Yeah, or just your closing remarks, and then we will end there just because of time. I'm sure I will look for you another time. I'm sure you're still making moves. That one I know. So I'll still look for you to talk about other things.
Most definitely, the moves are coming.
I know, but that I know.
Let's see. Is there anything we've not touched? I don't think there's anything we've not covered, but yeah, I think that's it. I think we've covered most of it.
Yeah, no pressure. Thank you so much, Anita. I really appreciate your time. Your
Thank
story
you.
100% will definitely inspire my audience. So I appreciate you creating time, and then I'll ask them to come to Anita Makori on YouTube to check more on this
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you so much for having me, and I look forward to seeing more stories on this platform and even more that you have to offer. Yeah.
You will for sure. Bye, Anita.
Bye.